But I want to tell you something that physics suggests, something that biology confirms, and something that is far stranger than any ghost story you have ever heard. I want to suggest to you that this fear is based on a mistake, a fundamental misunderstanding of what you actually are. You think you are a thing, you think you are a noun, but you are not a noun. You are a verb. You are not a static object. You are a process. And once you understand the difference between a thing and a process, the question of death changes completely. It becomes something entirely new.
Let's start with the physical stuff, the atoms. You look at your hand right now. Go ahead, look at it. It looks solid. It looks like the same hand you had yesterday. It looks like the same hand you had 10 years ago, maybe a little more wrinkled, but the same stuff. But it isn't. We know from biology that the turnover of matter in the human body is relentless. Your skin replaces itself every few weeks. Your blood cells are recycled every few months. Your bones, which feel like granite, are constantly being dissolved and rebuilt. Even the neurons in your brain, which we used to think were permanent, are constantly metabolizing, taking in new atoms, flushing out old ones. The carbon in your DNA today was not there 5 years ago. It was in the air. It was in a potato. It was in a cloud. The nitrogen in your muscles was part of the soil. The oxygen in your lungs was part of the ocean. So if you define you as the pile of atoms that makes up your body, then you
are already dead. The you from 10 years ago is gone, dissolved, scattered back into the biosphere. Those atoms are now in trees, in other people, in the dirt, and yet you do not feel dead. You feel a sense of continuity. You remember being 10 years old. You remember the smell of your childhood home. You feel like the same person. Whispers, why? If the material is different, why is the person the same? The answer is the most important concept in understanding your own existence. It is the concept of a pattern.
Imagine a wave in the ocean. You see it forming offshore. It rises up, it travels across the water, it crashes onto the beach. You can point to it and say, there is a wave. You can measure its height, its speed, its energy. It is a distinct thing. But what is it made of? Is it made of water? Well, yes. But is it made of the same water? As the wave moves across the ocean, the water molecules are just moving up and down. They are not traveling with the wave. The wave is passing through the water. The water at the beginning of the wave's journey is miles away from the water at the end. The material is constantly changing. Every millisecond, the wave is made of completely different water. So what is the wave? The wave is not the water. The wave is the pattern of energy moving through the water. The wave is a structure. It is information. You are the wave. You are not the water. You are not the atoms. You are the structural
arrangement of those atoms. You are the information, the complexity, the memories, the personality, the habits, the way you laugh, the way you think. All of that is a pattern that is currently rippling through the matter of the universe. The matter flows through you like water through a wave. You pick up atoms from your food, you organize them into you for a little while, and then you flush them out and pick up new ones. You are a standing wave of complexity.
Now this sounds poetic, but it has a very disturbing implication. If you are a pattern and not a physical object, then what defines your survival? In the world of computers, we understand this easily. If I have a document on my hard drive, a novel I am writing, and I copy it to a flash drive, and then I smash the computer with a hammer, is the novel dead? No. The pattern is preserved on the flash drive. The medium changed. The physical substrate was destroyed, but the information survived. Can we apply this to a human being? This brings us to one of the most famous thought experiments in the philosophy of mind. It's usually called the teleportation paradox. I want you to really imagine this. Don't just listen to the words. Put yourself in the situation. Imagine it as the year 2300. We have mastered the technology of scanning matter down to the quantum level. We have built a teleporter. It looks like a booth. You walk in. The machine scans every single
atom in your body. It maps the position of every electron, the state of every neuron, the strength of every synapse. It records your entire pattern, your memories, your fears, your love for your mother, what you had for breakfast, everything. Pause. It takes that information and beams it to Mars at the speed of light.
On Mars, there is a receiving station. It has a reservoir of raw atoms, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. The machine on Mars takes the information and assembles those atoms into a perfect, flawless replica of you. But here is the catch. The way the scanner works on Earth, it has to destroy the original. To get the quantum information, it has to take you apart. So you step into the booth on Earth, there is a flash of light, and your body is vaporized, gone, a pile of ash. 3 minutes later, on Mars, the machine finishes its work. The door opens, a person walks out. They look exactly like you. They have your name. They have your memories. They remember walking into the booth on Earth. They remember the flash of light. They look at their hands and say, "Wow, it worked. I'm on Mars." Now the question is that you? Most people, when they first hear this, say, "Yes, of course. It's just like Star Trek. I teleported." Bull.
Stop. Slow down. Imagine the machine on Earth is broken. It scans you. It sends the information to Mars, but it fails to vaporize you. Exhale sharply. So now you are standing in the booth on Earth. You step out. You look at the technician and say, "Did it work?" The technician looks at a screen and says, "Yes, the signal was received. The copy on Mars is alive and walking around." Now there are two of you. There is you, Earth, and you, Mars.
You, Earth, is standing there. You look at your hands. You feel exactly the same. You go home. You eat dinner. You, Mars, is also standing there. They look at their hands. They feel exactly the same. They go look at the Martian landscape. Now here is the problem. If there are two of you, you cannot be the same person. You are in two different places, having two different experiences. If I punch you, Earth, in the face, you, Mars, does not feel it. You are separate centers of consciousness. Now let's go back to the original scenario. The machine on Earth works perfectly. It vaporizes you. If you believe that the person on Mars is you, then you have to accept that you can be created by arranging generic atoms in a specific pattern. You have to accept that your continuity does not depend on the physical stuff. But if you are the person standing in the booth on Earth and you see the laser coming to vaporize you, do you think, "Oh, it's fine, I'm going to be on Mars"? Or do you think, "Wait, don't kill me. That guy on Mars is just a copy. He's an imposter. I am the real me"? This reveals a deep contradiction in how we think about ourselves. We think we are the pattern, but we feel like we are the stuff, and we cannot reconcile the two. But nature has been playing this teleportation game with you your entire life.
On Mars, or do you think shouting, "Wait, don't kill me. That guy on Mars is just a copy. He's an imposter. I am the real me." Sighs. This reveals a deep contradiction in how we think about ourselves. We think we are the pattern, but we feel like we are the stuff. And we cannot reconcile the two. But nature has been playing this teleportation game with you your entire life.
Remember, you are always changing atoms. You are not the same physical stuff you were when you were a baby. You have been slowly teleported, atom by atom, into a new body over the course of decades. The you of today is a copy of the you of yesterday, constructed from slightly different materials. Every time you go to sleep, the consciousness shuts down. The stream of experience breaks. The brain changes states. Repairs happen. Memories are consolidated. When you wake up in the morning, the system reboots. You come back online. How do you know you are the same person who went to sleep? You don't. You just have the memories of that person. You have the pattern. You wake up. You access the hard drive. You download the context. My name is this, I live here, I love this person, and you resume the story. But what if the you that went to sleep
actually ended? What if the consciousness that experienced yesterday ceased to exist, and a new consciousness started this morning, inheriting the memories? You would never know the difference. Sighs. This is the scary part. If continuity is an illusion created by memory, then death happens every night, and birth happens every morning. And the thing you are so afraid of, the final darkness, is just the sleep that doesn't have a morning. But you've already practiced it thousands of times. But let's go deeper. Let's look at this from the perspective of the universe itself.
We have this idea of separation. I am in here. The world is out there. My skin is the boundary. Inside is me. Outside is not me. This is a biological trick. It is a necessary hallucination for survival. If a tiger is chasing you, you need to care about the bag of skin that contains your DNA. You need to protect self versus other. So evolution built a brain that feels incredibly separate. But physics tells a different story. Where does your body end and the environment begin? You need oxygen to survive. The air flows into your lungs. The oxygen crosses the membrane, enters the blood, becomes part of the cell. At what precise moment does the oxygen atom stop being atmosphere and start being you? You drink water, it becomes your blood. You eat a plant, it becomes your muscle. You radiate heat, you shed skin. You are in a constant exchange with the universe. You are not a closed box. You are an open system. You are a whir.
Whirlpool in a river. You cannot separate the whirlpool from the river. If you take the water out of the whirlpool, there is no whirlpool. If you take the whirlpool out of the river, there is no river. Alan Watts, the great philosopher who loved to explain Eastern ideas to Western minds, used to say, "Whispers, you didn't come into this world. You came out of it like a wave from the ocean. You are not a stranger here."
Think about the Big Bang. 13.8 billion years ago, the universe began as a singularity. Then it expanded. It cooled. Energy became matter. Quarks became protons. Protons and electrons formed hydrogen. Gravity pulled the hydrogen into stars. The stars burned, fusing elements. They exploded, creating carbon, iron, gold. Those dust clouds formed planets. One planet, Earth, cooled down. The chemistry got complicated. Molecules started replicating. Life began. It evolved. It crawled out of the ocean. It grew legs. It grew a cortex. And now, billions of years later, here you are. You are the Big Bang, doing something very complicated right now. You are not a separate entity created by the universe. You are the universe. You are an aperture through which the universe perceives itself. When you look at the stars, it is not you looking at them. It is the universe looking at itself. The atoms in your eye were made in stars. The atoms in your brain were made
in stars. You are stardust that is woken up. Pause. So when you die, what happens? The pattern dissolves. The whirlpool settles down. The wave crashes on the shore, but the water remains. Curious. The consciousness that you feel, that vivid sense of I am. Is that really yours? Or is that just the fundamental property of the universe when it is organized in a certain way? Think of a light bulb. When you turn on the switch, the bulb glows. We say, the light is on. If the bulb breaks, the light goes out. We say, the light is dead.
But the electricity is not dead. The electricity is still there in the wall. The potential for light remains. You just need a new bulb. Maybe consciousness is like the electricity. Maybe your brain is just the bulb. You are a localized expression of a universal capacity for awareness. And when your body dies, the you that was the specific pattern of memories and habits is gone, yes. But the fundamental awareness, the light, doesn't go anywhere. It just ceases to be localized in that specific point. It shines through other bulbs. It shines through the person sitting next to you. It shines through the cat sleeping on the rug. It shines through the alien civilization a billion light years away. It is all the same light. This is what the great physicist Erwin Schrödinger, the guy with the cat, believed. He was a rigorous scientist, a father of quantum mechanics, but he was also deeply interested in Vedanta philosophy. He said that the plural
idea of minds is an illusion. There is only one mind, one consciousness appearing in billions of different forms. If this is true, then death is not the end of consciousness. It is the end of the illusion of separation.
It is like waking up from a dream. In a dream, you might be a pilot or a king or a victim. You have a whole story. You feel separate from the other characters in the dream. But when you wake up, you realize that you were the pilot, and you were the king, and you were the landscape, and you were the monster. It was all you. The separation was the dream. Maybe life is the dream of the universe, and death is the moment the universe wakes up and remembers that it was pretending to be you. Let's try one more thought experiment to really drive this home. This one is about time. We have this feeling that we are moving through time, that the past is behind us, the future is ahead of us, and we are riding the razor's edge of the now. But physics, especially relativity, suggests that time is more like a landscape. The past, present, and future all exist simultaneously in a four-dimensional structure called space-time. Einstein called
this the block universe. In the block universe, every moment that has ever happened or will ever happen exists forever. Think of a movie reel. The frames of the movie are all there on the strip. The beginning, the middle, the end. They exist at once. But when you play the movie, the projector light illuminates only one frame at a time. The characters in the movie feel like time is flowing, but the reel is static.
If you are just a pattern in space-time, then your life is a worm-like structure embedded in this block. One end of the worm is your birth. The other end is your death. The worm exists eternally. You are not moving toward death. Your death is just one coordinate in the structure of reality. Just like your birth, just like your 10th birthday. If this view is correct, then no one ever truly dies. They just stop existing at later coordinates. But at the coordinates where they lived, they are there forever. If I visit the year 1950, my grandfather is there. He is walking, talking, breathing. He hasn't gone anywhere. He is just at a different location in time. Just like New York is at a different location in space than London. If I am in London, New York doesn't cease to exist. It's just over there. So the people you have lost, they are not gone. They are back there. And you, when you reach the end of your biological timeline, you won't fall into no-thing.
You simply be a finished sculpture in the Museum of Eternity, a complete shape, a finished song, whispers. But here is the final, most disturbing, and most beautiful thought. Curious. If the universe is infinite, and many theories suggest it might be, or if the multiverse theory is true, then patterns must repeat. If you have an infinite number of monkeys typing on an infinite number of typewriters, eventually one of them will type Shakespeare. Eventually, one of them will type this script.
If the universe is infinite, there are only a finite number of ways to arrange atoms. There are a lot of ways, sure, a huge number, but it is not infinite. If you travel far enough in an infinite universe, you will eventually find a patch of particles arranged exactly like you. Not similar to you, exactly like you. With the same memories, the same scars, the same feelings. And if you travel further, you will find a version of you that made a different choice this morning. A version of you that didn't watch this video. A version of you that became an astronaut. A version of you that died at age 5. Every possible variation of the pattern that is you exists somewhere in the infinite expanse of reality. So, are you unique? In a way, yes. This specific instance of you, here and now, is unique. But in the grand scheme of things, the pattern that defines you is a fundamental note in the symphony of the universe. And the universe plays that note.
Ver and over again. You have probably lived before. You will probably live again. In fact, you are probably living millions of lives right now, scattered across the infinite reaches of space and time, unaware of each other, separated by the gulf of distance, but connected by the identity of the pattern. Exhales. When you really let that sink in, the fear of death begins to dissolve. Because what are you afraid of losing? The matter? It was never yours to begin with. It was just on loan from the periodic table.
The memories, they are just information storage. The consciousness, that is the universal light. The only thing that dies is the ego, the story, the idea that you are separate. And maybe that is a good thing. Because the ego is a cage. It traps you in a tiny box of anxiety and desire. It makes you feel small. It makes you feel alone against the universe. But when the walls of the ego break down, whether through deep meditation or a moment of awe or the final process of death, you realize that you were never in the cage. You were the whole thing. You are the silence between the notes. You are the space in which the stars hang. You are the observer and the observed. So the next time you look in the mirror, look past the wrinkles, look past the eyes, look at the pupil, that black hole in the center, and realize that you are looking into the abyss of the universe itself, and the universe is blinking back at you. Don't be
afraid of the end. The end of the melody is not the death of the music. The music goes on, and you, the real you are the music. Now, I want you to do something for me. I want you to sit with this feeling for a moment. That slight vertigo, that feeling that the floor has dropped out from under you. That is the feeling of reality breaking through the illusion. Curious. And I want to ask you a question that might seem impossible to answer, but I want you to try.
If you could be copied perfectly, atom for atom, and the copy was sent to live on another planet while you stayed here, would you feel a connection to them? If they felt pain, would you feel a ghost of it? Or is the separation absolute? What do you think binds us to our identity? Is it the matter? Is it the memory? Or is it something else entirely? Tell me in the comments. I read them. And I want to know how the universe looks from your point of view. Because after all, You are the only other me there is.